Jamie, very, very interesting talk. You mentioned you used the parallel with the integrated circuit or the IT industry of mentioning printed circuit boards. In that industry, somebody makes an advance and everybody copies them within a very short defined time.
Yeah.
How do you think that, let's say, copycat process is going to work, paralleling or learning from what they observe is your success? How long do you think it will take to proliferate?
We often get asked this sort of question, and whether we try and protect any of our systems, for instance. Normally the question is, what do you do to protect your IP? Actually, we've never patented anything. We've never tried to protect our IP. We show everyone what we're up to in the hope that people will copy us and that this stuff will proliferate and get out there. Buggered if anyone does, though, which is the really frustrating thing for us. We've always thought that by the time anyone copied this, we'd be on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So we're not at all precious about giving this stuff away and saying, go on then, have a crack at it. Try and do better. Please try and do better. My guess is that a lot of the stuff we've pioneered on in terms of BIM is now we're deploying that across government departments. And I think that's really starting. We can see the change that's coming now that we were picked to be on the core team specifically because we were innovating a lot of this stuff. So that we're trying to we're trying to hard code in government departments through their implementation strategies and through, we've been off teaching designers how to do this. We've been teaching contractors how to pick this stuff up. So through that sort of means we're trying really to disseminate this stuff. My desperate hope, and it's the question, one of the questions will be asked of you guys, my hope is that once people get into this, then they'll have the capability to pick up the other coordinated systems. At the moment, no one else is doing this stuff because of the fact that the brief is poor, so halfway through the design process, the client changes their mind, which means that if you had a really perfectly beautiful design for manufacture system, you're going to go, oh, now I've got to redesign it all, that's a real headache. So the fact that people don't control brief at the front end, I think stifles a lot of what would be clever innovation. People like the existing sloppy systems on site because it means the client can change their mind at the last minute. They go, yeah, we'll just bosh a hole through that then, that's fine. We say, no, you can't do that. We precast it 6 months ago. You can't. You should have changed your mind a year ago if you were to do those things. But you can't have that, you can't take that moral high ground if you haven't done the work with them to drive it up front. So as I say, I'm hoping that the shift to BIM is the thing that will allow people to start to develop these systems and really pick them up and run with them. But if anyone wants some help, then we're desperate to get out there and teach people how to do this stuff.
I mean, obviously, even if you do protect your ideas, one of the truisms are certainly there's always.
I'm sorry.
One of the truisms in the IT business is there's always another way to do something that's IP protected. So I think you're taking a very sensible approach. But you obviously would have an idea of what's happening in other countries, in Europe, for instance. I mean, has anybody else made a breakthrough in proliferating the concepts you have developed?
Not that we know of, no. It was interesting, when we started work on the Athletes Village for Lend-Lease, they did a trawl of Europe because they were trying to procure us, but they had to have some comparators to say, we've gone to 3 people who do this and we've got a cost comparison. They couldn't actually find anyone in Europe that was doing this sort of stuff. And Circle, actually, we came into Circle after they'd spent about, I think they spent 18 months trying to find someone else to do it. They talked to Rogers, they talked to Arabs, a load of the big hitters who you'd think should know how to do this stuff, and couldn't find anyone. So they were quite receptive when we turned up and said, you do that? And they go, that's exactly what you or who we were looking for. We couldn't find you. So I'm not aware of anyone else. There's lots of clever prefabrication systems, a lot of it timber-based SIPS panels and things in Europe that we've seen. I think we are quite strange in that we're agnostic about whether it's volumetric or flat pack, whether it's traditional build. So things like dry lining, we don't try and prefabricate because we can get it really quick on site. Things for the airport, we try and do the biggest boxes we possibly can because it's all about the fewest number of people on site, the fewest movements. Things like this are flat pack because we don't want to be transporting big volumes of air around the country. And I think that flexibility of approach is quite strange. People either we do volumetric, or we do timber panels, or we do concrete, whereas we do a bit of steel, a bit of timber, a bit of concrete, we do volumetric, we do flat pack, we do this whole range of things. So look, we've got this palette of systems and methods we can pick from, and we will tailor a solution that meets your needs based on those. I don't think anyone else that we're aware of is doing that, because it's like if you go and talk to a lift manufacturer, the answer is going to be you need some lifts. It's like, well, of course you're going to say that. We don't have that approach. We come and say, actually, the answer is not even a building. It's a process that you need to go through, not building things. And I think that's the bit that makes us a bit unusual, is that we have this complete fluidity from, yeah, maybe I'm just going to do some modelling, to, yeah, maybe I'm actually going to build the building for you because that's the only way to get it done. But we don't know anyone else that's doing that. Even Arup don't have a factory. They don't build anything. Lots of contractors don't actually build anything. They just know people that build things, which is a spooky world we live in. But.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay. Take one more.
Just briefly, Simon McGinnis from DIT. You mentioned teaching there. It seems to me that really to gear up what you're doing, which I'm absolutely blown away by, it's fantastic what you're doing, is to bring that knowledge into the colleges and the universities. Because are you open for offers to do some guest lecturing? Because we'd really love to have you.
Yes, I personally speak at Manchester normally once a year as part of their professional studies course. We've got a guy who, one of our chaps is a guest lecturer at Sheffield University and goes and does some mind-blowing parametric stuff. If you like this, he would blow your mind. One of the work streams through the Cabinet Office, there's a guy, Adam Matthews, who's heading up a whole work stream which is around training at all levels, from strategic management training for business down through what it means at kind of company level and then into academia. So how do we get this stuff embedded in the courses now to get things out? But yeah, I'm also talking to Westminster University. So yeah, more and more people are saying, come and talk to catch them before they've become too jaded and learn the poor ways of the building industry, get them young. And yeah, we're keen to do that. So.
Just a small point on that. Incidentally, many of the speakers that were at the BIM, that spoke at the BIM series this year will also be delivering modules and assisting delivering modules on the MSc program. So, if you're thinking of doing further study in this area, you'll see these people in the future online on the master's program. Any other questions? Maybe one more?
I think maybe we get down to the discussion.
Would you like to start the workshop now, Brad?
Yeah, and
okay.
So I think I've probably rambled on for longer than I was supposed to.
Jamie's around, and maybe during the workshop you want to wander around to some of the tables and talk to people. So it was fantastic. So thank you very much.